Hello everyone, and welcome back to When She Broke Us channel. Today, we have an incredible story, one that's dark, emotional, and shocking. It's a story about betrayal, humiliation, and the kind of heartbreak that leaves scars you can't see. We're sitting down with a man whose story will take you through a whirlwind of emotions, and I promise you, this is one you won't be able to look away from. From the first moment, through the betrayal, to the shocking aftermath, this is raw, unfiltered truth. So sit tight, make sure you're not alone for this one, and hear it straight from him. Let's start at the beginning. Can you tell us your name and a little about yourself, and then share your story with us?
I remember thinking, as I adjusted my tie in the bedroom mirror, that this would be just another tedious corporate event. Another night of forced smiles and small talk with Vanessa's colleagues while they pretended to care about what I did for a living. IT architecture doesn't exactly make for a riveting cocktail conversation. "Ethan, are you almost ready?" Vanessa's voice drifted from the bathroom, sharp with impatience. "We're already late." "5 minutes?" I called back, though I was already dressed. I was stalling, and we both knew it. Our house in the Portland suburbs was exactly the kind of place young professionals were supposed to aspire to. 3 bedrooms, modern kitchen. A yard that Vanessa never set foot in, but insisted we maintain for resale value. We'd bought it 5 years ago, back when we still talked about filling those extra bedrooms with kids someday. That conversation had stopped around the same time a lot of our conversations stopped. Vanessa emerged from the bathroom in a black dress that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. She looked stunning, as always. At 32, she had the kind of polished beauty that commanded attention in every room she entered. Dark hair swept up in an elegant twist, perfect makeup, designer heels that made her nearly as tall as my 6 feet. "You look beautiful," I said, because I was supposed to say it, and because it was true. She glanced at me with those green eyes that used to light up when I came home. Now they just assessed me like I was another item on her to-do list. "You're wearing that?" I looked down at my charcoal suit, white shirt, blue tie, the uniform of invisible men everywhere. "What's wrong with it?" "Nothing." She picked up her clutch from the dresser. "It's fine. You look fine." Fine. The most damning word in the English language. 7 years of marriage, and somehow we'd arrived at fine. The drive to the Cascade Country Club took 40 minutes. Vanessa spent most of it on her phone, typing furiously, occasionally laughing at something on her screen. I tried not to wonder who was making her smile like that. It certainly wasn't me anymore. "Big night?" I asked, trying to breach the wall of silence. She didn't look up. "The party. Is it important?" "They're all important, Ethan." She finally put the phone down. "This is my career. My life. It would be nice if you could at least pretend to be supportive for a few hours." I swallowed the response that bubbled up. We'd had this fight before. She thought I didn't care about her ambitions. I thought she'd become someone I didn't recognize. Neither of us was entirely wrong. "I am supportive," I said quietly. "I'm here, aren't I?" Physically present isn't the same as supportive. She turned to look out the window. "But I suppose it's better than nothing." The Cascade Country Club was lit up like a palace. String lights draped over the entrance, valets rushing to park the steady stream of luxury cars. Vanessa's company, Meridian Marketing Solutions, had rented out the entire venue for their annual gala. Through the windows, I could see the crowd already gathering, champagne glasses glittering under crystal chandeliers. My stomach tightened. I hated these things. Hated the performance of it all, the networking, the subtle competitions masked as friendly conversations. I was good at my job because it involved systems and logic, patterns and code. People were messier, more unpredictable. "Remember," Vanessa said as we stepped out of the car, "these are important people. Try to make a good impression." "I always do." She gave me a look that suggested otherwise. The club's interior was even more opulent than the exterior. Marble floors, soaring ceilings, a live jazz band playing in the corner. Servers circulated with trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres. The crowd was exactly what I'd expected. Polished professionals in expensive suits and dresses, all playing the game of who could seem the most successful while drinking the most free alcohol. Vanessa transformed the moment we entered. Her posture straightened, her smile brightened, and suddenly she was on, the charismatic marketing director everyone admired. She worked the room like a politician, air-kissing colleagues, laughing at jokes, her hand occasionally resting on my arm in a performance of wifely affection. "Vanessa, you look absolutely stunning." A blonde woman in red descended on us, embracing Vanessa like they were long-lost sisters. "And this must be your husband, Ethan. This is Melissa, our creative director." Vanessa's smile was plastic perfect. "Nice to meet you," I said, shaking Melissa's hand. "Ethan works in IT," Vanessa said. In the same tone someone might say, "Ethan collects lint." "Oh, how interesting." Melissa's eyes had already glazed over. "Well, I need to steal Vanessa for just a moment. Girl talk, you understand." And just like that, I was alone. This was how these evenings always went. Vanessa would drift away into her world, and I'd be left orbiting the periphery, nursing drinks and checking my watch. I made my way to the bar, ordered a whiskey, and found a spot near one of the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the manicured grounds. I watched Vanessa across the room. She was in her element, animated and engaged in a way she never was at home anymore. When had that changed? It wasn't sudden, I knew that much. It was gradual, like watching a photograph fade in the sun. One day you look at it and realize you can barely make out the image anymore. We'd met 8 years ago at a friend's barbecue. She was relatively new to Portland then, building her career, full of dreams and ambition. I'd been drawn to her energy, her confidence. She made me want to be braver, more open. She said I made her feel grounded, safe. We balanced each other, or we used to. The past 6 months had been particularly difficult. She was home less and less, always working late, always too tired to talk when she finally did come home. Our conversations had become purely logistical. Bills, schedules, household maintenance. We hadn't made love in 3 months. Not that I'd been counting. Okay, I'd been counting. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." I turned to find a man about my age standing next to me, also holding a whiskey. He had an easy smile, expensive watch, perfectly tailored suit. The kind of guy who'd probably never felt out of place at an event like this. "That obvious?" I asked. "I'm Marcus, by the way. Marcus Chin. I head up the digital division." "Ethan Cooper." We shook hands. "I'm Vanessa's husband, I know. She talks about you." He took a sip of his drink. "Well, she mentions you." I wasn't sure how to respond to that. "These things are torture, aren't they?" Marcus continued. "Necessary torture, but torture nonetheless. The key is to find the bar early and stake out a strategic position with minimal social traffic." Despite myself, I smiled. Good strategy. We stood in companionable silence for a moment, watching the party unfold. The jazz band had transitioned to something upbeat, and a few couples had started dancing. "So, IT architecture," Marcus said. "What kind of systems do you work with?" I was surprised he'd actually asked. Most people at these events didn't bother. Enterprise security systems, mainly. Financial institutions, healthcare networks. Anywhere that needs bulletproof data protection. Interesting. More interesting than marketing metrics, at least. He grinned. "Don't tell anyone I said that." For the first time that evening, I started to relax. Marcus was easy to talk to, genuinely curious. We discussed cybersecurity, the latest threats, the challenges of building systems that were both secure and user-friendly. It was the kind of conversation I never got to have at these events. Then Marcus's expression shifted slightly, his gaze moving past my shoulder. "Speaking of metrics, here comes Derek." I followed his look. A man was making his way through the crowd, and people seemed to orbit toward him naturally. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with the kind of chiseled features that belonged in a cologne ad. Dark hair with distinguished gray at the temples. A smile that showed too many perfect white teeth. His suit probably cost more than my car payment. "Derek Morrison," Marcus said quietly. "VP of Client Relations." Vanessa probably mentioned him. She hadn't. Should she have? Derek's progress through the room was like watching a shark move through water, graceful, purposeful, and somehow predatory. He stopped at nearly every cluster of people, shaking hands, laughing, commanding attention effortlessly. And then I saw him approach Vanessa. I'm not sure what made me pay particular attention. Maybe it was the way Vanessa's body language changed when she saw him. Her smile shifted from professional to genuine. Her hand moved to her hair, a gesture I recognized from when we first started dating. Derek said something. Vanessa laughed, touching his arm. How long have they been working together? I heard myself ask. Marcus took a long drink. Derek joined about 8 months ago. Came from a firm in Seattle with an impressive track record. He's been instrumental in some of Meridian's recent successes. 8 months. The same time Vanessa had started working later. Started being distant. Started looking at me like I was an obligation rather than a partner. They work closely together? My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. I should probably... He gestured vaguely toward the crowd. Marcus. I turned to look at him directly. How closely? He met my eyes and I saw something there. Pity, maybe. Or guilt. I don't know anything for certain, man. Just office gossip. You know how it is. I didn't know how it was. I'd spent years in my safe bubble, trusting, not asking questions, not wanting to see what was probably right in front of me. Thanks for the drink conversation, Marcus said. And Ethan? Be careful. Derek's not. He's not a good guy. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with my whiskey and my spiraling thoughts. I couldn't stop watching them. Derek and Vanessa. The way they leaned toward each other when they talked. The way his hand rested on the small of her back when someone else joined their conversation. The way she looked up at him, animated, alive. The way she used to look at me. My phone buzzed. A text from my colleague James. How's the party? As boring as expected. I typed back. Worse. The evening stretched on. Dinner was announced. I found myself seated at a table with Vanessa, Derek, and several other senior Meridian employees. Derek was directly across from me, Vanessa to his right, close enough that their chairs were almost touching. Through course after course, I watched my wife fall in love with another man. Or maybe she already had, and I was just finally seeing it. Derek was charming, I had to admit. He told stories that made the whole table laugh. He was knowledgeable about wine, art, travel. He asked questions that made people feel interesting. He was everything I wasn't. Effortlessly social, confident, magnetic. And the way he looked at Vanessa, like she was the only person in the room. Ethan, you're quiet tonight, Derek said at one point, his eyes fixing on me with what might have been amusement. Vanessa tells me you're in IT. That must be fascinating. It was the same thing everyone said before immediately changing the subject. It has its moments, I replied. I'm sure it does. We could all use someone who understands technology. Everything's digital now, isn't it? Can't do business without it. He smiled. Though I confess, I barely understand how my own phone works. The table laughed. Humble brag about being too important to understand technology. Classic. What about you, Derek? I asked. What exactly do you do in client relations? Vanessa shot me a warning look. Well, Derek leaned back in his chair, completely at ease. I suppose you could say I make sure our clients feel valued, understood, and eager to continue their relationships with us. It's all about trust, building connections, understanding what people really need, even when they don't know themselves. Sounds manipulative, I said. The table went quiet. Derek's smile never faltered. I prefer to think of it as intuitive, but I suppose it could look like manipulation to someone who thinks in binary code. Everything must seem like ones and zeros to you, doesn't it? On or off. No nuance. Ethan, Vanessa said, her voice tight with warning. People are complex, Derek continued. They want things they won't say out loud. They need things they're afraid to ask for. My job is to give them permission to want what they want. He was looking at Vanessa when he said it. The rest of the dinner was torture. I mechanically ate food I couldn't taste, made polite responses when required, and watched my life unravel in slow motion. After dinner, the party moved back to the main room. The jazz band had been replaced by a DJ playing something with a heavy beat. The lights had been dimmed. The crowd was looser now, courtesy of the open bar. I lost track of Vanessa in the crowd. I found another drink, then another. The whiskey wasn't helping, but it gave me something to do with my hands. When I finally spotted her again, she was on the dance floor, with Derek. His hands were on her waist. Her arms were around his neck. They moved together like they'd done this before, like they'd practiced. I should have walked over, should have cut in, reminded everyone in that room that she was my wife. But I couldn't move. I was frozen, watching, as my worst suspicions crystallized into undeniable reality. The song ended, but they didn't separate. And then Derek leaned down and kissed her. Not a friendly kiss. Not an accidental brush of lips. A full, passionate kiss in the middle of the dance floor, in front of everyone. The world seemed to tilt. Sound became muffled. I was aware of people around me going quiet, aware of heads turning, aware of the sudden spike of gossip energy that filled the room. Vanessa kissed him back. When they finally broke apart, she was smiling. Then her eyes found mine across the room, and her smile didn't fade. If anything, it grew sharper. She took Derek's hand and walked toward me. Every eye in the room was watching now. The DJ had even lowered the music, sensing the drama unfolding. They stopped in front of me. "Ethan," Vanessa said, her voice clear and carrying in the relative quiet. "I need to tell you something." My mouth was dry. My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone must be able to hear it. "Vanessa, I'm leaving you." She said it simply, like she was commenting on the weather. "I'm in love with Derek. I have been for months. And honestly, I should have done this a long time ago." "Vanessa, please not here," I managed to say. "Why not here?" She laughed, but it was cruel. "You never wanted to come to my work events anyway. You never supported my career. You're content to be mediocre, Ethan. And I'm not." Derek stood next to her, his hand possessively on her hip. He didn't even have the decency to look uncomfortable. "I deserve someone who matches my ambition," Vanessa continued. "Someone who understands what I want from life. Not someone who's content to hide behind computer screens." People were definitely watching now. I could see phones out, probably recording. This would be all over social media by morning. "We're married," I said, hating how weak my voice sounded. "We'll fix that." She looked at me with something like contempt. "You know what you are, Ethan? You're a cuckold. Just standing there, watching, not even fighting for me. That's all you've ever been. Passive. Weak." The word hit me like a physical blow. Around us, I heard gasps, nervous laughter. "Vanessa," Derek said, his voice smooth. "Maybe we should." "No," she cut him off. "He needs to hear this. He needs to understand. I'm leaving with Derek tonight. We're together now. And you," she looked me up and down dismissively. "You're going to go home alone and think about how you let this happen." I should have said something. Should have defended myself, called her out, made a scene. But I couldn't. I just stood there, drink in hand, as my wife publicly humiliated me in front of her colleagues and bosses. "Nothing to say?" Vanessa pressed. "Of course not. You never do." She turned to Derek. "Let's go. I'm done here." And then she left, walked out of the country club with another man, her husband watching helplessly. The music started back up, too loud, too cheerful. People tried to pretend they hadn't seen what they'd just seen. Conversations resumed, but I could feel the glances, the whispers. I set my drink down on the nearest table. My hand was shaking. Marcus appeared at my elbow. "Jesus, Ethan. I'm so sorry. Are you?" "I'm fine," I said automatically. I need to go." I walked out on legs that didn't feel quite steady. The valet brought my car around. The drive home was a blur. Our house was dark and empty when I arrived. I went inside, sat on the couch in the living room, and stared at nothing. My wife was gone. She'd humiliated me publicly, called me a cuckold, and left with another man. And I just stood there and watched it happen. I sat in that dark house until dawn, trying to understand how I'd ended up here, trying to figure out what I'd missed, what I could have done differently, trying to convince myself that I was as weak and passive as Vanessa said I was. But in the darkest part of that night, a different thought began to form. What if I wasn't? The morning after came with cruel sunlight. I hadn't slept, hadn't moved from the couch, still wearing my suit from the party. My phone had died sometime around 3 a.m., which was probably for the best. When I finally charged it, the notifications flooded in. Texts from Marcus checking if I was okay. An email from James asking what the hell happened. Someone had already told him. 3 missed calls from my mother in Sacramento, which meant Vanessa's public humiliation had reached her somehow. Nothing from Vanessa. I showered, changed, went through the motions of being human. In the bathroom mirror, I looked like I'd aged 10 years overnight. Dark circles under my eyes. A hollow look I didn't recognize. The house felt different. Hostile, almost. Every room contained memories of a life that had apparently been a lie. Wedding photos on the walls. Had she already been planning to leave when we smiled for those? The kitchen where we used to cook together on weekends. When had that stopped? The bedroom where we'd made love, fought, made up, built a marriage. When had it all become a performance? I went to work because I didn't know what else to do. The routine of logging in, checking systems, reviewing security protocols, it was something solid to hold on to while everything else crumbled. But I couldn't focus. My screens blurred. Code became meaningless. I kept replaying last night, looking for the moment when I could have stopped it. Should have stopped it. The kiss. Her hand in his. That look in her eyes. Triumphant, almost gleeful. When she called me a cuckold in front of everyone. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Coffee? I'm buying. We met at a cafe 3 blocks from my office. Marcus was already there when I arrived. 2 coffees on the table. He looked uncomfortable, like a man who'd witnessed something he wished he could unsee. You look like hell, he said. Thanks. I mean it. Have you eaten anything? I hadn't. Couldn't remember the last meal I'd had. Marcus pushed one of the coffees toward me along with a sandwich he'd apparently ordered on my behalf. Eat, he said. Then talk. The sandwich tasted like cardboard, but I forced it down. The coffee helped. So, Marcus said carefully, what are you going to do? I don't know. Have you talked to her? She hasn't called, hasn't texted, hasn't come home. I took another drink of coffee. I don't even know where she is. Probably Derek's place. He's got a condo downtown. Penthouse level, of course. Marcus's voice was bitter. Everything about that guy is for show. Tell me about him, I said. Tell me everything you know. Marcus sighed. Derek Morrison, 41. Divorced. No kids. Came to Meridian 8 months ago from a firm. I started with Derek's LinkedIn profile. Impressive resume, string of high-level positions, glowing recommendations. Photo of him looking confident and successful. Nothing unusual. Then I checked Vanessa's social media. She hadn't posted anything since yesterday morning. A photo from her office with the caption, "Ready for tonight. Hashtag company culture, hashtag Team Meridian." In the photo, she was smiling at her computer. I'd been at work when she posted it, had probably seen it and not thought twice. Should have thought twice. I clicked through her friends list, looking for Derek. Found him. Their friendship dated back to February, right when they'd started working together. I started scrolling through posts, looking for, I didn't even know what, evidence? Confirmation. Then I found something odd. 3 weeks ago, Vanessa had posted a photo from a coffee shop. Fuel for a long day. The caption was innocuous, but in the background of the photo, reflected in the window, I could see someone sitting with her. Male. Dark hair. Could have been Derek. Could have been anyone. But Vanessa never posted photos without carefully checking them first. She was meticulous about her social media presence. So why post this one with someone visible in the background? Unless she wanted someone to see it. I kept digging, going back through months of posts, looking at photos more carefully, reading comments. Most were standard social media fare. Coworkers congratulating her on wins, friends commenting on vacation photos, family liking status updates. But there were a few comments from Derek that made my skin crawl. Nothing overtly inappropriate, but the familiarity, the inside jokes, the frequency. It was all there if you knew to look for it. You're unstoppable. Fire on a post about landing a client. Best partner I could ask for. On a photo from that San Francisco trip. Making magic happen as always on a post about late nights at the office. Partner. That word again. My work phone rang. The office probably wondering why I'd bailed early. I let it go to voicemail. Then my personal phone buzzed. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Ethan Cooper? A woman's voice? Calm and professional. Yes. My name is Jennifer Morrison. I believe you know my husband, Derek. My blood went cold. What? Derek Morrison. I'm his wife. She paused. Or technically, his soon-to-be ex-wife. The divorce isn't final yet. Wife. Derek was married. I didn't know. Most people don't. Derek prefers to keep his personal life private. Her voice was eerily calm, like she was discussing the weather. I saw the videos from last night. Your wife and my husband made quite the scene. Videos? Plural. Oh yes. 3 different angles all over social media. Married woman leaves husband at company party. That's the current trending title. She paused. You should probably check Twitter. I hung up and immediately opened Twitter. Searched Meridian Marketing Party. She was right. Multiple videos posted by people who'd been there. Different angles of the same nightmare. Vanessa kissing Derek. Vanessa confronting me. Vanessa calling me a cuckold while I stood there, frozen. The comments were brutal. Mocking me for not fighting back. Calling me weak. Speculating about how long the affair had been going on. Laughing at my humiliation. I closed the browser before I could read more. My phone rang again. Jennifer Morrison. Sorry, she said when I answered. That was cruel. You didn't need to see those. Why are you calling me? Because we should talk. Not over the phone. In person. She gave me an address. A coffee shop in the Pearl District. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Trust me, Ethan. Things aren't what they seem. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there in the dark house, staring at my phone, trying to process everything. Derek was married. His wife wanted to meet me. The videos were everywhere. And Vanessa still hadn't come home. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I opened Vanessa's laptop. She'd left it in her home office. Her password was my birthday. It always had been. I'd never snooped before, never had reason to. Now I had every reason. Her email was open. I scrolled through recent messages, looking for anything from Derek. Found plenty. Most were work-related on the surface, but reading between the lines, I could see it. The intimacy, the planning, messages about our future and finally being together. One email from 3 days ago made my stomach turn. After Friday night, everyone will know. No more hiding. I can't wait to start our real life together. They'd planned it. The public humiliation wasn't spontaneous. It was calculated, choreographed. She'd wanted to destroy me in front of everyone. But why? I kept searching, going back further in her emails. Then I found something that didn't fit. A folder labeled, Legal Personal. Inside were communications with a divorce attorney dating back 2 months. She'd been planning to leave me long before last night. But the attorney's emails were strange. References to protecting assets, and timing the disclosure, and ensuring clean separation. And then one line that stopped me cold. As discussed, we need to ensure Ethan has no grounds for contesting the financial arrangements. The prenuptial agreement is solid, but we need to document any potential claims he might make. Prenuptial agreement? We didn't have a prenup. I searched her files. Found a document I'd never seen before. A prenuptial agreement, dated 3 days before our wedding, with my signature on it. A signature I'd never made. My hands started shaking. I took a photo of it with my phone, then kept searching. Bank statements. Joint accounts that I knew about, but also separate accounts I didn't. Accounts in Vanessa's name with significant balances. Money that should have been in our joint accounts. She'd been siphoning money, slowly, carefully, over the past year. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I sat back, mind racing. This wasn't just an affair. This was something else. Something planned and methodical. I thought about Marcus's comment about Derek's pattern. Ambitious women in committed relationships. What if it wasn't about romance? What if it was about something else entirely? At 3 a.m., exhausted but wired, I finally went to bed. But sleep wouldn't come. I kept seeing Vanessa's face, that triumphant look when she called me weak. Kept hearing Derek's smooth voice. Kept wondering what I'd missed. And beneath all of it, a small voice in my head whispered, "You've been through worse." But had I? Jennifer Morrison was not what I expected. She was sitting at a corner table in the coffee shop when I arrived. Elegant, composed, maybe late 30s. Designer clothes, perfect posture, and eyes that assessed me with clinical precision. "Ethan." She stood, shook my hand firmly. "Thank you for coming." We sat. She already had coffee. I ordered one I probably wouldn't drink. "You're wondering why I called," she said. "Among other things. Derek and I have been separated for 11 months. The divorce should have been final by now, but he keeps delaying it. Legal maneuvering, mostly." She took a sip of coffee. "He does that. Keeps people in limbo. It gives him control." "Why tell me this?" "Because you need to understand who you're dealing with." She leaned forward. "Derek is a predator. He targets couples, specifically marriages where he sees weakness. Or perceived weakness. He targeted Vanessa. He targeted both of you. Your marriage was the real prize." She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo. Derek with another woman, intimate, clearly romantic. This was 2 years ago. Saracen. She was married to an accountant named Robert. Derek seduced her, convinced her to leave Robert, very publicly destroyed that marriage. What happened to them? Derek left Sarah 3 months later. She'd served her purpose. Jennifer swiped to another photo. Different woman, same story. This is Rebecca Walsh. Before Sarah. Same pattern. And before Rebecca there was Amanda. Always the same. Successful women married to men Derek considers beneath them. Why? Because he can. Because it proves something to him. She put her phone away. But there's more to it with Vanessa. Something different. What do you mean? Jennifer hesitated. What do you know about Derek's company? Apex Strategic Solutions? Just that he worked there before Meridian. Apex is under federal investigation. Wire fraud, embezzlement, securities violations. The FBI has been building a case for 18 months. She watched my reaction. Derek left Seattle right before indictments came down. 3 of his colleagues were arrested. He wasn't charged, but that doesn't mean he's clean. My coffee arrived. I wrapped my hands around the cup, trying to process this. What does this have to do with Vanessa? I've been watching Derek, tracking his patterns, and I noticed something odd about his relationship with your wife. The timeline was too fast, too intense. Usually he plays a longer game. This felt urgent. Urgent how? Like he needed something from her specifically, not just another conquest. Jennifer pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. I had a private investigator do some digging. These are financial records. Wait, I held up my hand. Why are you doing this? What do you get out of helping me? She smiled, but it was cold. Derek destroyed my life. Systematically, deliberately. By the time I realized what he was doing, he'd isolated me from friends, family, my career. I want him exposed. I want everyone to see what he really is. Revenge. Justice, she corrected. But call it what you want. The point is, we want the same thing. We both want the truth. I opened the folder. Inside were bank statements, transaction records, corporate filings. Took me a moment to understand what I was looking at. Meridian Marketing Solutions, Jennifer said, received a capital infusion 6 months ago. $3 million from a shell corporation called Henderson Holdings. That shell corporation is owned by another shell corporation, which is owned by Derek Morrison. Derek owns part of Meridian? Derek essentially bought his way into a VP position. The company was struggling. He came in with money and connections and made himself indispensable. She pointed to another document. But here's where it gets interesting. That $3 million. It came from accounts linked to Apex Strategic Solutions. Money that the FBI is very interested in. My mind was spinning. He's laundering money through Meridian. That's my theory. And if I'm right, he needs people inside the company who won't ask questions. People he can control. Vanessa. Jennifer nodded. She's smart, ambitious, and as of 6 months ago, increasingly compromised. If she's helping him move money, even unknowingly, she's an accomplice. I thought about the emails I'd found, the separate bank accounts, the money Vanessa had been moving. There's more, Jennifer said. I ran a background check on you. Hope you don't mind. I did mind, but I stayed quiet. You were involved in a whistleblower case 6 years ago. You testified against your employer, helped expose a fraud scheme. You went into witness protection, changed your name. She paused. Your real name is Ethan James Blackwell. You became Ethan Cooper when you relocated to Portland. Everything stopped. How do you know that? My investigator is very thorough. She leaned back. Here's my question. Does Vanessa know? No. No one knows. That's the whole point of witness protection. Are you sure? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Vanessa and I had met 8 years ago, 2 years after I'd relocated. Random meeting at a friend's barbecue. We dated for a year before getting engaged. Everything had seemed organic, natural. But what if it wasn't? When did Vanessa move to Portland? Jennifer asked. 8 years ago. She came from Chicago, I think, for work. What company? I realized I didn't know. She'd changed jobs early in our relationship. I'd never thought to ask about her previous employer. Jennifer slid another document across the table. Vanessa Chin. That was her maiden name. She worked for a consulting firm in Chicago called Strategic Solutions Group. Want to guess who founded that company? I didn't need to guess. Derek Morrison. They knew each other before Portland, before Meridian. Your meeting wasn't chance, Ethan. She was sent to find you. The room seemed to tilt. That's insane. Why? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. She stood, gathering her things. Don't contact Vanessa. Don't tip your hand. Let her think you're the broken, passive husband she believes you are. Meanwhile, we investigate. You're good with computer systems, right? Security, data analysis. She smiled. I need someone who can trace financial records, and you need answers. We help each other. She left me sitting there, surrounded by evidence that my entire life had been a lie. The next 72 hours were a blur. I called in sick to work, holed up in my home office, and dove into the data Jennifer had given me. Financial records, corporate filings, email trails. I approached it like any security audit, looking for patterns and anomalies. What I found was damning. Meridian had been hemorrhaging money before Derek arrived. Bad investments, lost clients, failed campaigns. Then Derek showed up with his mysterious capital infusion, and suddenly everything turned around. New clients, big contracts, impressive revenue growth. But the numbers didn't add up. The new clients, prestigious names like Henderson Retail, Cascade Technologies, Northwest Financial, they were all connected to shell corporations that trace back to Apex Strategic Solutions. Derek was essentially paying Meridian with his own money, making it look like legitimate business. And Vanessa was facilitating it. Her signature was on dozens of contracts, fund transfers, client agreements. Either she was complicit or spectacularly naive. I'd met with Jennifer twice more. She brought new information each time. More photos of Derek with other women, evidence of his pattern of financial manipulation, connections to organized crime figures in Seattle. The FBI is interested in talking to you, she told me on day 3. About Derek, about Vanessa. You were in witness protection once, you know how this works. I'm not talking to the FBI until I understand what's happening. What's happening is your wife helped a criminal infiltrate a marketing firm to launder money from a fraud scheme. There has to be more to it. I pulled up another set of files on my laptop. Look at this. Vanessa opened those separate bank accounts 14 months ago. That's before Derek even came to Meridian. She was planning something before he arrived. Jennifer frowned, studying the timeline. So maybe she wasn't his target. Maybe he was hers. It was a disturbing thought. What if Vanessa had been the predator all along? I kept digging. Found emails between Vanessa and Derek that predated his hiring at Meridian by 3 months. They'd been planning his arrival, discussing how to position him, what narrative to present. One email from Vanessa. Once you're inside, we can move forward with the plan. He won't suspect anything. He trusts me completely. Amy. They'd been planning to use me from the beginning. But for what? Then I found the connection. A name buried in old corporate records. James Reston. He'd been the CEO of my previous company, the one I'd helped expose. The fraud scheme had destroyed him. Prison time, bankruptcy, public disgrace. James Reston had a daughter, Vanessa Reston, who changed her name to Vanessa Chun after her father's conviction. My wife was the daughter of the man I'd helped send to prison. Everything crashed into place. The chance meeting that wasn't chance. The whirlwind romance. The marriage. She'd spent 7 years getting close to me, earning my trust, waiting for the right moment. But for what? Revenge? If she wanted to hurt me, she'd already succeeded. The public humiliation, the affair, the divorce, it was all devastating. But it felt like overkill for simple revenge. Unless revenge wasn't the end goal. I called Jennifer immediately. Vanessa is James Reston's daughter. From my whistleblower case. Silence on the other end. Then, holy shit. She's been playing me from the beginning. This whole thing was about getting close to you. But why? What does she gain? I thought about the forged prenup, the missing money, the careful documentation of everything. She's framing me, I said slowly. Derek's money laundering scheme. She's going to pin it on me. The IT security expert with a history of corporate fraud. The jilted husband who might have been stealing from his wife's company. Can she do that? If she's been as thorough as I think she has? Yes. She's got my signature on documents I never signed. She's moved money through accounts I didn't know about. She's created a paper trail that makes me look complicit. We need to go to the FBI now. No. They'll arrest me on circumstantial evidence while Derek and Vanessa disappear. I was already formulating a plan. We need proof. Irrefutable proof that Vanessa and Derek set this up together. How? I smiled for the first time in days. I'm going to give them exactly what they want. Vanessa finally came home on the 5th day. I was in the kitchen when I heard her key in the lock. My heart rate spiked, but I forced myself to stay calm, stay in character. She walked in like she owned the place, which legally she might. Ethan, we need to talk. Where have you been? I kept my voice quiet, defeated. With Derek. She set her purse down, faced me with cold eyes. I'm here to get my things. And to discuss the divorce. Vanessa, please. Can we just? No. She cut me off. We're done, Ethan. I filed papers. You'll be served tomorrow. I suggest you get a lawyer. I let my shoulders slump. I don't understand. 7 years of marriage, and you throw it away for him. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm finally choosing myself. Derek understands me in ways you never could. Does he understand that you're James Reston's daughter? She froze. Just for a second. But I saw it. Then her composure returned. I don't know what you're talking about. Your father. The man I helped send to prison. That's what this is about, isn't it? My father died when I was 16. The lie came easily. You're grasping at straws. I know everything, Vanessa. The shell corporations, the money laundering, the plan to frame me. I've been documenting all of it. Her eyes flashed with something, fear, maybe, or calculation. You're paranoid. You always were. This is why I'm leaving. You're unstable. Then why forge my signature on a prenup? Why move money into hidden accounts? I have no idea what you're talking about. And honestly, Ethan, these delusions are concerning. I think you need help. She was good, calm, reasonable, painting me as the unstable one. If I'd been recording this conversation, it would have worked against me. But I was recording it. Had been since she walked in. Jennifer's idea. Where's Derek tonight? I asked. Why isn't he here with you? He's at his condo. I don't need him here for this. Right? Because this is your plan, not his. He's just the tool you're using. She smiled then, and it was chilling. You really think you've figured it all out, don't you? Poor Ethan. Betrayed and humiliated. Finally putting the pieces together. Haven't I? You've found some pieces, but you're missing the big picture. She moved closer. My father didn't just go to prison because of you. He lost everything. His company, his reputation, his freedom. He died in prison 2 years ago. Heart attack brought on by stress. I'm sorry. Don't. Her voice was sharp. You're not sorry. You testified against him, took everything from him, then disappeared into witness protection while we suffered. Mom lost the house. I had to drop out of college. We were left with nothing. He committed fraud. He stole from pensioners. He made one mistake. One. And you destroyed him for it. She was shaking now, the mask slipping. So yes, I found you. Took me 3 years, but I found you. And I spent 7 years getting close, learning everything about you, waiting for the perfect moment. To do what? To take everything from you the way you took everything from me. Your reputation, your marriage, your freedom. She smiled again. Derek was supposed to be a bonus. Distract you while we set up the fraud scheme in your name. But then I realized I could hurt you even more by making you watch me fall in love with him. You're not in love with him. No. But the humiliation was exquisite. Wasn't it? Watching your wife kiss another man? Being called a cuckold in front of everyone? She laughed. That was my idea, by the way. Derek thought it was too much. But I insisted. I kept my face neutral, even as rage built inside me. So what's the end game? You get arrested for money laundering. The evidence is overwhelming, your signatures, your access, your expertise. Meanwhile, Derek and I walk away clean. I get justice for my father, and you get to spend the next decade in prison. She headed for the stairs. I'm getting my things. Don't follow me. She left the room. I sat there, still recording, waiting. This was it. The full confession. But I needed more. 20 minutes later, she came back down with 2 suitcases. I was still at the kitchen table. One more thing, I said. Derek knows who I am, doesn't he? He knows about my witness protection. She paused. Of course. I told him everything. And he knows about your father? Yes. Then you should know something about Derek. I pulled out my phone, played a recording. Jennifer had provided it. Derek talking to someone, discussing how he'd dispose of Vanessa once the FBI came knocking. She's useful now, Derek's voice said. But she's unstable, too emotional about the revenge angle. When this is done, she'll be the one who goes down for it. Vanessa's face went white. He's playing you, I said quietly, just like you played me. He's setting you up to take the fall for everything. You faked that. Did I? Or is Derek exactly what Jennifer Morrison said he was? A predator who uses people and throws them away. Jennifer. Vanessa's voice was weak. You've been talking to Derek's wife. His soon-to-be ex-wife. She's been very helpful. Almost as helpful as the FBI agents who've been monitoring Derek for the past 18 months. The color drained from her face completely. What? Did you really think Derek just happened to show up at Meridian? That he picked that company randomly? I stood up. He's been using Meridian to launder money from the Apex fraud case. And he's been using you to do it. The FBI has been watching everything. You're lying. Am I? Then explain why federal agents are parked outside right now, waiting for you to finish packing. She ran to the window, saw the 2 black SUVs parked on the street, saw the figures inside. No. No, no, no. She turned back to me, panicked now. Ethan, please. I can fix this. I can. You can what? Take back 7 years of manipulation? Undo the fraud you've committed? Make the federal charges disappear. I'll tell them everything. I'll testify against Derek. Good. You should. Maybe it'll help. I picked up my phone. But it won't change what you did to me. To us. Ethan, please. Tears now, but I couldn't tell if they were real. I'm sorry. I was angry about my father, and I made terrible choices, but I can make this right. No, you can't. The doorbell rang. Vanessa's whole body jerked. That'll be the FBI, I said. They want to ask you about some financial irregularities at Meridian. I'm sure you'll have a lot to discuss. I walked to the door, opened it. 2 agents in suits, badges ready. Vanessa Chen? One of them said. She stood frozen in the kitchen, her careful plan crumbling around her. We'd like you to come with us to answer some questions. As they let her out, she looked back at me one last time. I did love you, you know. First. Before I remembered who you were. I don't believe you, I said, and I closed the door. The FBI kept Vanessa for 16 hours of questioning. Derek was picked up at his condo the same night. By morning, the full scope of their operation was unraveling. Derek had indeed been laundering money from Apex through Meridian, using Vanessa as his inside accomplice. But Vanessa had been running her own scheme, framing me for Derek's crimes while simultaneously plotting revenge for her father. And Derek had been planning to frame Vanessa once the investigation got too close. It was a 3-way con, and they'd all been so focused on betraying each other that they hadn't realized the FBI was watching everything. Jennifer met me at a diner the next morning. She looked exhausted but satisfied. It's over, she said. Derek's been charged with wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. They're looking at 15 to 20 years. And Vanessa? Depends on what she gives them. She's cooperating, telling them everything about Derek's operation. If she's useful enough, she might get 5 years with parole. Jennifer paused. She's claiming emotional distress, says her judgment was impaired by grief over her father. Will that work? Maybe. She's a sympathetic figure in some ways. Daughter seeking justice for her father, manipulated by a con man. Jennifer took a sip of coffee. But she still committed serious crimes. And she did it with clear intent. I nodded, not sure how to feel. Anger, yes. Betrayal, absolutely. But also something like pity. Vanessa had destroyed her life trying to destroy mine. What about you? Jennifer asked. The FBI wants you to testify. I know. Will you? I don't have much choice. They need my testimony about the fraud documentation, the signatures, the digital trail. I rubbed my eyes. But after that, I'm done. New city, new name. Again. Running. Surviving. We sat in silence for a moment. Can I ask you something? Jennifer said. At the party. When Vanessa humiliated you. When she called you a cuckold and left with Derek. Why didn't you fight back? Why did you just stand there? I'd been waiting for someone to ask that question. Because I already knew, I said quietly. Not everything. Not the full plan. But I knew she was having an affair. Had known for weeks. And I knew that if I reacted, if I made a scene, I'd lose the high ground. I'd be the jealous husband, the violent ex, the unstable one. So you documented everything instead. I started recording conversations, checking her laptop, tracking financial records. I needed evidence, not drama. I looked at Jennifer. And when she humiliated me at that party, I knew it was for a reason. She wanted me broken, passive, helpless. So I gave her what she wanted. Let her think I was too weak to fight back. But you weren't. No. I was gathering ammunition. I smiled without humor. The whole time she thought she was destroying me, I was building a case against her. That's cold. She spent 7 years lying to me, sleeping next to me every night while planning my destruction. I think I'm entitled to a little cold strategy. Jennifer nodded slowly. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Do you? Because I'm not sure there was a right thing. Just a slightly less wrong thing. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Please. I need to see you. One last time. I showed it to Jennifer. Don't, she said immediately. Nothing good comes from that conversation. I know, but I went anyway. They let me visit her at the Federal Detention Center. She was wearing an orange jumpsuit, no makeup, hair pulled back. She looked young and scared and nothing like the polished woman who'd kissed another man at that party. We sat across from each other in a small room, a guard watching from the corner. Thank you for coming, Vanessa said quietly. Why did you want to see me? To apologize. Really apologize, not like before. She folded her hands on the table. I spent 7 years hating you for what you did to my father. But you were right. He did commit fraud. He did steal from people who trusted him. And he deserved to face consequences. Then why? Because it's easier to blame you than to accept that my father was a criminal. Easier to think you ruined a good man than to admit he ruined himself. Tears started falling. I destroyed my life trying to destroy yours. And for what? My father's still dead. My mother still won't speak to me. And I'm going to prison for crimes I committed out of misplaced loyalty. I didn't know what to say. Derek used me, she continued. But I let him. Because I was so focused on hurting you that I couldn't see I was hurting myself. Did you ever love me? Even a little? She looked up, met my eyes. Yes. God help me, yes. That first year, before I remembered why I'd found you, I actually fell in love. You were kind and patient and everything my father wasn't. And then I remembered, and I hated myself for loving you, and I made myself stop. You could have walked away. I know, but I'd already committed so much. The lie had become my life. And then Derek showed up with his plan, and it seemed like fate. A way to finish what I'd started. Was any of it real? More than you'd think. Less than you deserved. She wiped her eyes. The FBI offered me a deal. If I testify against Derek, they'll recommend a reduced sentence. 5 years, maybe less with good behavior. You should take it. I will. But I needed to tell you the truth first. All of it. No more lies. She took a shaky breath. My father died in prison. Alone. His last words to my mother were about you. How you'd destroyed everything. And I let that poison me. Let it turn me into someone I don't recognize. Vanessa, let me finish. Please. She leaned forward. You have every right to hate me, to want me to suffer. But I'm asking you, begging you to let me try to make this right. I'll testify. I'll tell them everything. And when I get out, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be the person you thought I was. I sat back, studying her. Was this real? Or was it another manipulation? With Vanessa, I'd never be sure. I don't hate you, I said finally. I pity you. You had a chance at a real life, and you threw it away for revenge that wouldn't have brought your father back. I know. But I can't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I understand. I stood to leave. At the door, I paused. For what it's worth, the woman I fell in love with, the woman from that first year, she was real. She's somewhere inside you. Maybe prison will give you time to find her again. Ethan. Her voice stopped me. At the party. When I called you a cuckold. When I left with Derek. You just stood there. Why? I smiled. Because I knew exactly what you were doing. And I knew that the best revenge wasn't fighting back. It was letting you dig your own grave while I documented every shovelful. Her expression shifted. Understanding, maybe respect, definitely regret. You were never weak, she whispered. No, I just let you think I was. I walked out and didn't look back. 6 months later, I was living in Denver under a new name. New job, new apartment, new life. The FBI had wrapped up their case. Derek got 18 years. Vanessa got 4 years with parole eligibility after 2. Jennifer called occasionally to update me. She'd gotten her divorce finalized, moved to San Francisco, started a consulting business helping fraud victims. We'd become unlikely friends through the whole ordeal. How are you doing? She asked on one of those calls. Better. Day by day. Dating? Not yet. Need to figure out who I am first. Smart. She paused. Vanessa's up for parole in 18 months. She's been a model prisoner, apparently, teaching other inmates computer skills. Good for her. Will you attend the hearing? You can submit a victim impact statement. I thought about it. Vanessa sitting in prison, teaching women who'd made terrible choices how to make better ones. Trying to become the person she should have been. No, I said. I'm done with that chapter. Whatever she becomes, she has to do it without me. Fair enough. After we hung up, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset over the Rockies. I thought about the man I'd been at that party. Standing silent while his wife humiliated him. Everyone thought I was broken, weak, pathetic. They were wrong. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let your enemies destroy themselves. Sometimes silence is the loudest statement you can make. I'd been through worse before. Testified against powerful people, went into hiding, built a new life. I'd do it again if I had to. But this time I'd be more careful. More aware. Less trusting. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Beer next week? I'm in Denver for a conference. I smiled. Some connections were worth maintaining. Yeah. I texted back. I'll show you the good places. Life moved forward. It always did. The story of Ethan Cooper and Vanessa Chun would fade into memory, become a cautionary tale people told at parties. Did you hear about the guy whose wife kissed someone else at a party? They'd say. Just stood there and watched. But they wouldn't know the whole story. Wouldn't know about the revenge plot and the FBI investigation and the con within a con within a con. They wouldn't know that the silent witness was actually the smartest person in the room. And that was fine with me. I'd learned something valuable through all of this. Sometimes the best way to win is to let everyone think you're losing. Sometimes the strongest move is to make no move at all. Just watch. Document. Wait. And when the time is right, let the truth destroy your enemies while you walk away clean. I finished my drink, went inside, and started planning my future.
Wow. That was an incredibly intense and emotional story. Thank you for trusting us and sharing such a personal and painful experience with such honesty. Your journey, from betrayal, humiliation, and heartbreak, to reclaiming your life and dignity, is truly powerful, and I know it will resonate with many of our viewers who have faced similar struggles. To everyone watching, this story is a reminder of the strength we all have inside us, even in the darkest moments. If Michael's story moved you, made you think, or helped you reflect on your own life, I encourage you to leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, your experiences, or simply your support. It all matters. And don't forget to subscribe to When She Broke Us for more raw, real, and unfiltered stories of betrayal, resilience, and personal growth. Every story here reminds us that even through pain, there's a way to reclaim our power and dignity. Thank you for watching, and remember, your strength is greater than any betrayal, and your voice deserves to be heard.